stitches. I'm going to ditch this just to sort of get used to it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Quilter's Apothecary. Today we are doing a wonderful Christmas quilt because it is the Christmas season at this point. If you're watching this at a different time, just know that it is the last day of November. And actually, normally, of course, as you all know that are on the Patreon channel, I usually will hang a quilt and show the quilt and what I'm going to do with it. But one of our staff members went ahead and preloaded this quilt, so we're going to actually kind of start this one backwards, and we're going to do the quilting first and then end up with the final reveal at the end. So this beautiful quilt, I'm going to take you over and we're going to look at least the throat space here. Rich, if you just want to slowly kind of pan from here over, you can see, of course, it is a nativity scene. So we have the shepherds, and of course it takes place in Bethlehem, obviously. And we have, of course, the architecture. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities, excuse me, to do some really great things with this particular quilt. And of course, we have the angel all the way over here. Um, and very interesting piecing, very almost drunkard's path type of piecing within the quilt, which I love. So just let me do kind of a quick overview. Um, what I told the client, because she brought it in, she wasn't sure how she wanted it quilted. She asked me what I would do, and I said, you know, I would really stick to what it is. So what I would do is I would go ahead and ditch around everything, of course. I'm going to do some neat things in all of the different figures within the quilt. And then, of course, this background, I'm going to do kind of a, not micro, but I'm going to do a nice fill so that everything pops forward. I'll build out some of the infrastructure with the houses as well as the animals. I'm sure as we go down, there will be more animals. Sadly, again, I can't remember what's down there. Um, and then with the people, what I will probably do is, of course, this will be ditched around, but then I'm going to have to do some different things in here. So it'll be a little time to be creative with what I'm going to do. It's going to be fairly, I don't know the correct term, symbolic as far as I won't put actual eyes or faces on the faces, but what I'll do is use some circle type things and do some filler, maybe even do some neat modern things like curve crosshatch. I'll do a lot of different things throughout this quilt, which by the way has to be done by next week. I have all of our custom quilts loaded on all 6 of the machines, and we have one machine still open for our edge to edge, but that's kind of how this is going to go. So this particular episode is going to be fairly short. What I'm going to be doing is at the beginning of this is I've got invisible thread loaded on the machine. If you want to come up towards me, I've got the Superior monopoly. I'm actually using the clear for this just because of the light parts of the quilt rather than the smoke. And then I also have the a creamy um, off-white isocord in the bobbin. Of course, isocord is my thread of choice for my bobbin, 40 weight embroidery thread. Um, and so that's how we're going to start. I'm going to get the ditching all done, and then I will move from there. A few things I'm going to do is show you as I do that how I would work around for the new folks who haven't seen some of the older videos. If there are any curves that I don't have a matching curve ruler, how I'm going to kind of maneuver my curves just to match up with the ditch work, those particular curves. So give me a minute. I'm going to pull all my tools out and then we'll get down and we'll start this beautiful quilt. Okay, so I have lock stitches. I just want to take a second. This is going to be our first time using this new ruler foot from Innova. We're on the Innova machine today because that was the one free one for this particular quilt. And I don't know how I feel about it, frankly. The other foot I loved, even though we'd have to replace it every few years. This is the, what foot is this, Rich? The billeted foot from the Innova. I've heard things, so we shall see how it works for me. So there we go. I already feel that it kind of shifts a bit much, but let us see. Okay, so I've locked stitches. I'm going to ditch this just to sort of get used to it. One of the things that I'm not a fan of is that this ruler foot, the shank down here is lower than the old one, and I like a tall shank. It makes me nervous about hopping over or under rulers. Okay, I'll cut my tail. Yeah, a lot of us who had an Innova, of course I have my handy quilters, but I have this Innova and one more left. And I sure loved the old foot, even though it would wear quicker. And it's hard to change things, I know that. Okay, so that's there. So now I'm going to go around the head here and around this circular part here. I'm going to use a circle. Get rid of that thread off of there. I'm going to use a circle. It's close to the size. It's not exactly the size. The circle head is not perfectly circular. So what I'm going to be doing as I'm doing this is I'm going to be shifting my circle so that my foot can stay in the ditch. So that's one of the tips that I can give to those people who are trying to go around a circular or curved shape in which the curve does not exactly match a curve that you have to use. Now I would say, especially if you're doing like a double wedding ring and you don't have a curve to match the curves in the double wedding ring, you know, that's one way to deal with that. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this back, and again you can see that this circle is not really a circle. So I'm just going to shift that circular ruler as I work my way around the face. And even if I go a little bit into the face like I did right there, I'm using the invisible thread, so it's not going to show up as much. So now I'm going to put that back down here. Again, just kind of keep pivoting as I go. This is not a show custom. This is just a regular custom, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good. Good ditch. Because obviously most people don't want to pay for show custom. Okay, so now that's done there. While I'm here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to ditch over here. I'm going to grab a little bit of a smaller circle, and I'm going to give myself another circle in there, in the bottom part. I won't do it in the upper part, but I will do it in the bottom part. So hold that thought. I'm going to grab my circle. Let me see. Yeah, I like that size. That'll be a nice, almost echoey kind of size. Okay, so I'm going to follow that ditch in. Go to there. Now this one I will have perfectly circular. I will not shift to this one. Okay, so now I think I will go ahead, freehand that ditch, come around. I will do that top portion. There we go. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do in here. I might do some sort of oddball curved crosshatch. But first I'm going to get the throat space done, and then I'll come back and figure out what I'm putting inside those particular areas. So let me tie off here a little bit more. We're using the invisible thread. Okay, so I am going to go ahead before I head down to the body. I was talking to Rich when we had a moment off camera, and I had given him a few of my ideas, and he said, you know, I was thinking about using the ovals and kind of just getting a few little bit of textures, which will give it a modern look without being too bizarre. Because my initial thought was not a full curve crosshatch, but just like about 2 or 3 curves from all 3 directions, 2 sides, 1 up, which would have looked nice. And that would have looked nice. And then we talked about just a couple of circles in there. And then what he said was, what about using the oval and giving it just a little contour, a couple lines on each side? It will keep it modern looking without too much detail, because again, I'm not putting detail in this face. That would look creepy in my opinion. So that's kind of what we kind of visually looked at and said, hey, that'll work great. So thank you, Mr. Ritchie. So I have lock stitches. I have grabbed an oval. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come down, stop right in the circle that I've already done, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my chalk. I'm going to grab a straight ruler, and sorry about that, I had to run across the room and grab my straight ruler. There it is. And I'm going to go in an inch. So I'll put that there, and I will go in an inch. And I'm pretty lucky, as you can see, what we have is, and I went an inch from the line that I've just made. And what I did, I'm sorry, I should have kind of gone over that as I'm doing it. What I did was I centered the oval directly on the seams in the fore patch of the round face. So right in the center, dead center target. I put this down. Wherever that landed is where it landed. So now I'm going to come around the circle a little ways, and then what I'll do is I will line up my circle so that it will actually end about a 1/4 inch away where that mark is, and that will be where I put my second mark on that side, and then I'll do the opposite on the other side. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a curve, and I'm just going to follow that round ditch a little ways. I want to put this back in place. Let me see, get my line perfectly straight across there. So I know I need to go to the ruler. So I'm just going to use my curve. And again, I'm just pivoting, following that ditch. I'm right at the ruler. And again, I keep this line straight across that center. Gonna line that up. Now I'm gonna bring that up. So now I've got that curvature there. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to travel the ditch over here since I'm up there. Oh, I think I am going to like that. Let me put my oval centered again. So it needs to go over. Smidge more. Get that centered right there so the crosshairs are right in the crosshairs of the circle. Now I'm going to come back, come down, inch from my sew line. Line my center up so that it's a 1/4 inch away. Again, you always have to think about it. Was I a 1/4 inch away or was I on the line? Line that up, and again, I'll just pivot my curve. Go back just a little ways there. Visually, that feels right. Now I'm going to double check this. So from that line, I went an inch in there. From that line, I went an inch in there. Inch. Okay, good. Just making sure. Double checking. And her piecing, you can see that her piecing's just a little bit cattywampus here. And so distance-wise here, I want to kind of match that. So I'm going to pivot this just a little bit out there. So it's because the circle is not a complete circle, I'm going to do a little fudging here. So when I come up, I will end there. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's very cool. I love it. Nice, nice job. Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. That was a beautiful suggestion. Need to get you over here on this machine. Okay, now what I might do later, not now, is once I finish the throat space, I might actually come back and either fill in these two sides with mashing thread, or yeah, I would do those two sides, not the middle and the two sides. I would do the two sides here. Okay, so now we will move down to the body and we'll start ditching around that. Okay, so I was just about to move away and come down to the body. And then, of course, Rich was talking about when someone pieces something like this, the anonymous anonymity is the word I was thinking of. But also, he also said, now, is there enough quilting here in this section? There actually is, because the one thing that I did forget to mention at the beginning is I did double bat this. I've got an 80-20, and I also have a poly down in here. That being said, I think what I'm going to do, if you didn't think that this was enough quilting, it would not hurt anything to come down right in that seam and nail that down. It's not going to take away anything from what was there. Okay, so now I'll lock my stitches there. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and we'll head down towards the body. Okay, so now down here in the body within the throat space, I can go ahead and I can do the wing section of this particular angel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around and ditch, and when I come around this curve before I do it, again, I'm not going to use a circle because that would be awkward over here, kind of shifting that. I would do it if that's the only thing I had, but of course I have a curve, but it's not a dead-on curve that will match that exactly. So what I'm going to do is, of course, you'll see that I'll be shifting this curve to match it. It's pretty close, but it's not dead on. So first, ditch over, stop, over here, come around, now I must say, I haven't used it a lot yet, but I'm not anti this foot yet. So it's not bad. It's not as icky as I thought it would be. And I mean no disrespect to Innova for that foot. I just, you get used to stuff and it's hard to change. And I want a taller shank. So I'm going to go up in just a second here. Okay, now I'm going to grab my circle because that's going to be closer to that curvature and it's going to be in front of the foot. Now I'm going to pivot the circle back to the straight of way. Back to the curve. Again, you can see now why sometimes I have 8 or 9 rulers sitting on my quilt while I'm working within a throat space. Let's get rid of that tail. Okay. And now, what I think I'm going to do is I am going to come down and I'm going to add a few little curves here on the wings. Let's say ½ inch. Line that curve up, and I'm just going to eyeball it. Actually, I'm only going to do one there. See, this is my process. This is how it works. It's kind of like, oh, okay, what am I doing now? Now what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to go back up to about the same mark there. Give myself another one there. Okay, good. Do I just want one there? I think I want 2 there. So I'm going to go back up about ½ inch. Line that up. Okay, good. I like that double there. It gives a nice texture. And that does enough quilting. Maybe a third. Let me do a third. Okay, so I'll do that third. Okay. Get my measurer. Start with. That's about right there. There we go. All right. Down, back. Around, up, third one there, lock my stitches, pull, pull away. Not come away. Yeah, I like that. That works. Now, what'll happen is next time we roll, I'll go into the body of the angel, and probably what I will do with the body itself is I'll simply do some linear lines in. Okay, so now the next part I'm going to do is I will be heading over to the buildings themselves, and I'm going to go ahead and I will ditch around the outside all the way down, come down this way, and then I will go ahead and come up each one. And here what I'll probably do is head up, catch that, and then go up, come down all the way and catch that. I'll catch what's in here when I decide what I'm going to be doing in there, and that's how I'll work my way over and back. Okay, everybody, so that is the end of the first part. As I've done all the ditch work, I'm going to do some fill and the rest of the quilt throughout the next part, so that way we can see the completion. All right, we'll see you all down the road. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and don't forget to come back for part 2.